All right, we're live. Welcome back to Enlightenment to All on YouTube, everyone. It's been over a year since my last video. Welcome the Watchmen to the chat. So, the title description says it all today. For the past decade, I have lobbied, I have blown the whistle, I have been engaged in activism, I have been engaged in technology, and in all of my constituent activism, whistleblowing, journalism efforts, everyone, I remain convinced that there is only one answer to the corruption in our government, and that remains an armed occupation by we the people. And I want to be very clear about what exactly that means, because most people start thinking about that and they start going off on this tangent of violence and discrepancy. So let me be very clear about what that means. An armed occupation by we the people means we the people arm ourselves with our God-given rights, which is not illegal. We the people march inside, keyword inside, every corrupt institution. We don't stand at the gates. We don't hold our picket signs. We don't sing kumbaya outside the corrupt institutions and wait for the Gestapo to come and disperse us. No, that's what cowards do. That's what protesters do. And how long have they been doing that? And what have they accomplished? They've accomplished nothing but more draconian laws against we the people. Welcome, Strangefoot, to the chat. So when I say an armed occupation by we the people, as I said, that means we are armed, we are organized, we have our goals set in mind already as to what we need to accomplish, and we march inside the corrupt institutions. Now, people will say, well, that's exactly what they did on January 6th. Okay, let's talk about that. Remember now that after January 6th transpired, we had all of this information come out about how it was orchestrated, about how the FBI was coaxing people in, about how people like Ray Epps, who was orchestrating a large portion of that protest and what happened on that day, never went to jail and got a slap on the wrist because they were complicit with the FBI. They were working with the FBI. And the FBI told them, we're going to give you basically no punishment at all because you are working with us to deceive the American people. So those people went in there, and what did they do once they got inside the corrupt institution, the Capitol? What did they do? They started taking selfies. They started singing Kumbaya. And that was about it until the Gestapo arrived, shot and killed 4 people, not just Ashley Babbitt. Ashley Babbitt's the only one we ever hear about. But there were 3 other people that lost their lives that day that are completely swept under the rug now. Only their families know about them and who they are, or anyone paying attention. And now, what are they doing? What are those Gen 6 people doing now? They're all prisoners. They're living on their knees because they chose not to fight and die on their feet. They were actors, they were cowards, they had no agenda. If they had any agenda, they would have went in there and they would not have been shot, killed, rounded up, arrested by the Gestapo. They all would have fought and died inside the Capitol. Like someone you would honestly think is actually about their message, their agenda, freedom, liberty, transparency from the government, right to information, sovereignty for we the people. And now they're making hundreds of millions of dollars, not only on journalism, on stories about it. There's going to be documentaries, I'm sure. The prisoners are writing people outside of prison. They're becoming fucking heroes in prison after they did absolutely nothing. So, yes, when we talk about January 6th, what did I see? I saw cowards and actors. That's all I saw. They weren't about freedom or liberty or prosperity for the American people or holding the government accountable. They weren't about any of that. And this is where we, the people, have this huge gap, you see. And the issue with that becomes everyone is so entrapped by the materialism of this realm, their jobs, their homes, their vehicles, their titles, their names on pieces of paper, their rap sheets. Who is going to organize and jeopardize all of that with a bunch of so called activists? I mean, it truly takes a fanatical type of individual to even begin to entertain that, to begin to jeopardize their own security, comforts, prosperity, because truly they have become so disgusted with the way and the state of things here that they are ready to do that. And then the answer becomes quite clear, does it not? They have too much to lose. Now, myself, I was once akin to them. I once had a home that I could call my own, a job that I could call my own, a vehicle that I could call my own. And I was in that rat race just as all of you are, trying to survive. As we are trying to survive out here, we will never be able to realize our full potential. And that's right where they want us to be. It's only after I lost my company because the FBI showed up at our labs, hacked our research and development files, extorted my business partners, and cited to me national security due to the magnetic generator we were set to patent. It was only after I lost my so-called integrity and credibility as a lobbyist, as an activist, when I went to Olympia to lobby. And I looked our lawmakers in the eyes and said, we have solutions to the energy crisis in Washington state. And they tell me, well, what if the sun doesn't shine? Our solutions are not limited to solar. Our solutions include magnetic, plasma, things that the military has been using for decades. But I don't suppose you know about that, would you, Senator? Would you, Representative? You're going to look at me like you have no knowledge at all about that. And of course they did. The representatives knew in weeks in advance that we were coming to lobby. It is their fucking job to stay at the Capitol to hear their lobbying constituents. And of the 3 districts that I was lobbying with, only 1 district had their representative available. And naturally, that was Jeff Foley, and we got a runaround from him. Excuse me, that was not Jeff Foley, that was Jenny Graham. I'm sorry. And it was mere weeks after I lobbied at the state capitol that video files went missing from my camera unexplainably, that the FBI showed up at my door mere weeks after, as my CTO, who was an academic out of Stanford University in computer science, was informing me that his logs were showing some type of infiltration that was capable of breaking our encryption. And in his educated estimation, only a federal level of sophistication and technology or an inside man was able to break our encryption. At the time, it was sophisticated. So the military already has unlimited energy. There is no energy crisis. That's for slaves. There is no climate change. That's for slaves. That's weather. Weather is a weapon, and it has always been a weapon. In 1972, they were cloud seeding heavy rain in Vietnam to slow the advance of the foreign troops. Now, I don't know how smart you people are in terms of meteorology or rainfall, but it takes an extreme amount of rainfall to slow the advance of troops. But we still have more wildfires every year. There are more of our lands burning every year. There's more wildfire smoke that is making more people sick every year and destroying more crops every year. Does it not seem like the obvious solution to that is geoengineering, as they have the ability to cloud seed heavy rain at any fucking location on the planet? But they're not doing it, are they? Why? Because it is a weapon. It's only to be used in times of war. They will let your homes burn. They will let your lands burn. They will let your crops burn. They will let your respiratory system be compromised because of the smoke. It is a weapon. It is used to dislocate people. It is used to lower land value in areas that the federal government wants to purchase at a much lower cost. The prime example I can give to that was Maui last year. People from Maui, residents on the ground, were reporting mere days after the disaster happened, they were getting calls from the federal government asking them to buy up their land, inquiries. In January of that year, the Chinese satellite was spotted with lasers over Hawaii, the same area, Maui, the same exact area. And in the months that followed, we had the Chinese espionage balloons that followed the same path that all the wildfires were going along that year. I broke all of this down. It's all in my past videos. If you look into any of my journalism online, any of my media, that means you're looking for it because I'm largely censored and blacklisted. If I were not censored and blacklisted, I would already be on the same platform that people like Alex Jones, that people like Candace Owens, that people like Julian Assange are on, that people like Joe Rogan are on. The only reason they're on those platforms is because they have already been compromised and they have to obey their master's will, or the plug is pulled on all of their shows, on all of their fame, on all of their wealth, on all of that. So they're all talking a good game because they're double agents. That's what Alex Jones, Joe Rogan, David Icke, they all specialize in this. They're only giving you half truths to illustrate a picture that is concurrent with their words and their views. They will never tell you that they have already taken the oaths to the fraternal cult and that they are under their thumb. How do you think they have all this fucking money? Alex Jones was sued in legal court over the Sandy Hook conspiracy, ordered to pay millions and billions of dollars, never did one fucking day in jail, and yet he still has this huge syndicated talk show. He still has the means, the funding, the resources to create all of this. There's no way. There is a huge fallacy in this, and only those capable of critical thinking can see through it. Everyone else is either convinced that Alex Jones is a conspiracy nut job, or they're completely on his bandwagon saying that, yeah, he's the new Trump and he's going to save us all. That's another thing. This whole Trump and the Bronx thing. Why do so many of you deluded conservatives support Donald Trump? Honest to fucking God. He was pictured partying with Jeffrey Epstein. But oh no, he wasn't touching any of the little girls, right? Even though he was pictured partying with Jeffrey Epstein. These stupid ass fucking MAGAs tell me all the time, oh no, there was a. He never went to the island. It's proven that he never visited the island. You can't fucking prove that. And anything they try to give us cannot prove that. Another persona on Rumble, the Watchman. I'm just about over looking into all these other personas. Uh, because you have been here a long time, I will look into this individual. But are they calling for an armed revolution by we the people? I am almost positive they are not. I am the sole and only individual that I am aware of in this fucking world that is calling for a quote peaceful armed occupation by we the people. And I say peaceful because we know who's going to shoot first. If we the people actually ever really did gather and had an agenda and had a general among us and we're not fucking afraid to fight and die for our sovereign right to information, and we actually marched into the Capitol and we knew what needed to be done next, which only the general knows, which only I fucking know, which is we need computer hackers among our group who are able and willing to get into the computer systems and then begin leaking that classified intel to the public. This is what the January 6th crowd obviously was lacking. Once that information is leaked to the public, I guarantee you there's going to be more people arming and occupying and coming into every corrupt institution. I guarantee you. And if not, then that just shows the fact that you're all just complacent debt slave coward experiments, just like your ancestors were, who are okay with the crimes against humanity. So let's touch on COVID, shall we? Still no accountability. There is one lawsuit that has been filed now by a single individual that I've read about against AstraZeneca for wrongful death or injury. One. I was given a list of lawyers in Washington state that were supposedly taking claims for wrongful death or injury from the COVID vaccine. I contacted all three law firms. I left messages, I left emails, never received one response from any fucking one of them. And I saw firsthand what the COVID bioweapon is capable of with my mother, as she decided to give in to the fear campaign and to go get vaccinated after I begged her not to do it. And within a year after she was vaccinated, I watched all of her cognitive functions decline. She could not tell what day or time it was anymore. She was no longer able to walk. She was having extreme respiratory issues. The Watchman states we're heading for the Great Tribulation. It happened the fall of New York. I'm not convinced that the entire book of Revelation is manufactured, that all the prophecies of Revelation are manufactured. And as they are manufactured, every religious zealot and every Bible thumper is going to go to the Bible and say, this was manifest. God's word cannot be questioned now because the book of Revelation said this is exactly what's going to happen, and this is exactly what happened. Because the authors of the book of Revelation are the ones manufacturing it. I've yet to meet any Christian who has an open enough mind to try and wrap their head around that because they are so brainwashed by the Holy Bible. Now, the Holy Bible does have wisdom in it, it does have truth in it. That I can state with an open heart and with the truth. I live my life in truth. But I have also observed that the Holy Bible has been rewritten several times, that certain gospels, such as the Gospel of Thomas, the secret Gospel of Mary, have been omitted from the Bible, the Book of Enoch, which paint a very clear picture of what's actually going on, rather than the books of the currently accepted Holy Bible. I have had the Mormons, the Christians who come to my door, the Jehovah's Witnesses, and try to preach to me their gospel. As I ask them these same questions, they tell me they are forbidden from looking into those gospels because it's not the accepted word of God. And again, I don't want to go off too far into religion here, everybody. It is my honest opinion that religion is a war doctrine, and it always has been. It is a combat manual, and it is written in the Holy Bible itself. The Lord is a man of war. So let's get back to COVID. As I was saying, my mother's cognitive functions began to decline. She was getting to the point where she was no longer able to walk, but she was so out of it mentally that she still tried to walk and she would take falls around the house. I had to have her transported to the ER with an ambulance. She went to Holy Family Hospital. She was there for 2 weeks. They told me that her diagnosis was she had a collapsed lung due to her breathing issue, and she let it go for so long as I begged her to go to the doctor, and she was barely breathing. No, I'm okay. I'm okay. I finally had enough and called the ambulance one night and said, "You're going to the doctor." She went there and she was discharged after 2 weeks. We had her on a nebulizer routine and on some antibacterials. Her condition with the breathing got better, but her cognitive functions didn't get any better. She was still trying to get up and take falls around the house. I had to once again have her transported by ambulance to another hospital, which was Sacred Heart Hospital. And this was, I would say, maybe 2 to 3 weeks after she was discharged from Holy Family. About 3 days after she went to the hospital, the doctors called and they said they wanted to talk to me. I went to the doctor's office and they told me that they discovered over 20 cancerous lesions on my mother's brain that had metastasized from her chest. Now, you tell me, everybody, how does she get admitted to Holy Family Hospital and they're running all these tests on her that I demanded they run because I wanted to find out what was going on with her? And somehow they omit 20 cancerous lesions on her brain. That right there is grounds for malpractice. And in the future, if I should ever find the resources and the funding and one of these fraternal bitch ass lawyers to take my case, I will sue Holy Family Hospital for malpractice. I looked at the doctor in his face and I said, "It's a tragedy of your practice, doctor, what's happening to my mother. We both know what happened here. We both know why this cancer has become so much worse within the past year. You'll never state it on record, but I already know. And yes, it's true that it is by the nations and their pharmakia that everyone is deceived. Again, Watchmen, let's try to stay as far away from the scripture as we can here today. I don't want to get too far into religion. I know where that goes. I've read the Holy Bible. I know all the prophecies. I know all the scriptures. My friend, you don't have to tell me. I already know. And within about a month after my mother was discharged from Holy Family and went into Sacred Heart, she passed away. She passed away alone. None of her friends came to see her. All of these friends that were whispering in her ear, oh, maybe you should get the vaccine. And it's pretty scary what's happening to people without it. And there's all these mandates. And there wasn't anyone there for my mother at the end but me, as I knew it would be. It was the same story with my father. Uh, I cannot prove that my father was vaccinated. I only have my own theories. What I can state is that as he began leaking intel to me about his time in the Air Force, as the water contamination crisis was breaking here in Ojai Heights, the Air Force covering up the PFOS and PFOA contaminants that were used in their fire retardants in this area for decades, poisoning the well water. It was only a couple weeks after that that my father mysteriously conducted aphasia and could no longer speak. Now, you tell me, is that just another coincidence, everybody? In my honest opinion, I feel he was remotely targeted via the new smart meters that were installed by Avista Utilities that he demanded get installed at his home after I said, maybe we should look into this. I've heard they could be compromising to the human immune system. And even as I was on a fucking town hall call with Avista Utilities in regards to concerns about the new 5G smart meters, my father was sitting right fucking there as I was on the town hall call with Avista. I asked them, I understand that there is a low level threat to the human immune system from a smart meter, a 5G smart meter, your 5G smart meter that you're installing everywhere, Avista. And Avista confirmed it. They said, yes, it has been proven that there is a low level risk to the human immune system from a single smart meter. To which I retorted, okay, well, we are now under a 5G C band grid of 5G radiation. These smart meters and towers are every fucking where. Is it too far fetched to say that that small risk to the human immune system is now greatly increased by all of this insane radiation? And of course, they declined to comment. They said, we don't have enough information on that yet. There hasn't been any studies into that yet. Again, they'll tell you it can kill you, but until it is actually proven to start killing you, they will continue to push it upon you. And that's another sad parable of this world. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. That could not be more true than it is now, everyone. So now, as we have another election year heating up, as all the elections heating up, as all the deluded and brainwashed conservatives and liberals are playing their fanaticism and feudalism out to its fullest, the armies of the North and South, as it's written, we do have an independent that is running in Robert Kennedy. However, I don't trust Robert Kennedy. He used to be a Democrat. Now, once you're a Democrat, do you think that ever goes away? Just like Tulsi Gabbard, right? A former Democrat who has suddenly turned face, and now the Republican Party has a nice hot cot sitting there waiting for them. Now, granted, RFK did not go to the Republican Party. He chooses to run as an independent, but he's not an independent, everyone. Once you're a Democrat, you're a fucking cultist. You've already taken the oaths to the party. You've already engaged in the same disgusting and sickening rituals that, should you ever become a threat to the two party cult, they will blackmail you for. No politician is ever elected. They're all selected. They're all subjected to these disgusting rituals and acts. And like I said, should they ever choose to have a change of heart and, oh God, this is so evil, I need to talk about it, that is when the two party cult will blackmail you. That's what they're doing to Donald Trump right now. And yet people still support him and claim that he's going to save America, even after it was Donald fucking Trump that handed the White House over to the Biden administration and conceded an election that he knew was false, that he knew had been stolen. So he could let the Democrats destroy our nation for 4 more years, and then he can come back in and play the savior, right? which is exactly what he is doing. Ah, yes, Bob Ferguson. That's another story that's quite interesting, isn't it? Suddenly we have 3 Bob Fergusons appearing on our voting ballots and dockets. And the currently elected Bob Ferguson is threatening lawsuits and legal actions against those other Bob Fergusons simply because they share his own name, instantly calling it election interference. It's just another ploy. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if those other 2 Bob Fergusons were being paid by one party or the other. One of them has already withdrawn their name from the ballot. The other, I haven't heard about what they're doing yet, but most likely they will because they're compromised and cowards. The assault weapon ban in our state is still tied up in the courts, which it probably will be for another decade or so, as people wonder, am I going to be criminalized for purchasing a assault firearm with my God-given rights? Again, the topic title says it all, everyone. Time to arm and occupy yet? Pathetic debt slave experiments? Are you content with being a pathetic debt slave experiment forever? With having to work your debt slave job every day to comfortably exist here? As all these elite cultists are just given everything, all the technology, all the money, never have to work a day in their lives. All they have to do is go in front of the camera and read from their scripts. And that is all that they do. Again, I can't do it alone. If I went to arm and occupy a corrupt institution on my own, we all know what would happen. And I guarantee fucking to you, I would not be fucking arrested. I would go down because that would be greater than living my life in prison on my knees like the January 6 cowards are doing right now. And yes, you're all fucking cowards. I see right through you. You're not about liberty and prosperity for the American people. You're not willing to put your own life on the line for it. So, I mean, you don't really want it, folks. Give me liberty or give me death. That's as clear and as plain as it can be. See, now, Watchmen, everyone says, well, America's only got this much time left and time's running out. This rock is going to keep on turning. The Any major crisis that comes about will be mitigated. It will be edited by the media, and the controlled resistance will always be controlled until people truly have nothing less to lose and they're ready to fight and die for their sovereign rights to information, to technology, and to existence here. And everyone in a position of power and authority, every police officer, every judge, every lawyer, every politician, every doctor, everyone with a framed diploma on their wall that wears this uniform and takes these oaths, they're all sustained by that corruption. It feeds their families, it puts food on their table, it makes them feel good, it gives them a platform. They will all fight and die to preserve it, knowing it's corrupt, because they have no other option, do they? Their other option is either eternal imprisonment or execution. So at that point, what are you going to do? You're going to fight to to sustain the corruption in the lies. And that just shows what kind of people we're actually dealing with on this world, everyone. In my estimation, there are 2 types of people on this world. And it's not about race, it's not about color, it's not about religion, it's not about ethnicity, it's not about financial status, it's not about knowledge. It's about predators and prey. What are civilians? Civilians are the prey. As cattle grazing the fields, that is what they are. Who are the predators? Everybody who's not a civilian. It can be plain as day. I cannot put it any more plain, everyone. If you are not a civilian, then you are a predator, period. There is no in between. If you are a civilian, then you are a prey. Now, I myself remain on paper as a civilian, but I have removed my persona and my gestalt, my identity, if you will, from the paper. I'm no longer this name that I have on this paper. That's only used for the flesh. That's only used as my platform that I can speak to you through. That someone can say, this person, Matthew Garcia, me, I said that. But aside from that, I'm definitely no civilian. I have more intel and information than any civilian would ever have. I have more courage and more integrity than any civilian would ever have. I guarantee you that. And when the time comes, I will prove that. And I will prove that effortlessly. It'll be a turnkey operation for me because I have nothing left to lose and I'm not afraid to fight and die for the freedom of we the people. Our ancestors weep because they continue to observe the enslavement and experimentation of humanity. And I guess I'm alone out here, everybody. Nobody else is calling for an armed occupation by we the people. Nobody, anywhere. That makes me unique. That makes me the only one, the soul. I'm on this platform right now. I say it everywhere I go, everywhere I speak, on every platform I have. And this includes my video game streaming, this includes my journalism, this includes me being a father. My words never change. My word is eternal. And it's always the same, and it's always saying the same things. And if you need any more proof of that, go over my YouTube for the past decade, everyone. I have been on this platform for 13 years. It's only since the last 3 years that I started to have videos removed on grounds of COVID misinformation for posting a release from the Department of Health of the state of Florida advising against males aged 39 to 18 from getting the COVID vaccine as it could compromise fertility and their ability to reproduce. Of course, that wasn't in the paperwork, but if you have a fucking brain and you're able to use it, you know that males aged between 18 and 39 are most likely to have children. I have made no videos over the past year because I asked myself, well, why? Why am I still out here talking? Why have I still not met anyone who's ready to arm and occupy every corrupt institution and put it all on the line here? There is nobody. I am alone. And why do I do it? For my 3 or 4 viewers I get here, or my 3 or 4 viewers I get on Twitter because I'm blacklisted and censored. I shit you not, every other comment I make on Twitter now, I get these disgusting sex bots that just get more and more graphic. I have filed hundreds and hundreds of reports, never heard back anything from Twitter or any platform, Facebook, about any of them. I mean, truly, it's like I don't exist here, people. Honest to God. I am so blacklisted and so censored, it's like I don't exist here. I only exist here to people that seek my knowledge, to people that are on the same level of consciousness and awareness. And as of right now, where are we? Even if you're on the same level of consciousness and awareness of I am, that I am, do you have nothing left to lose? Are you ready to arm and occupy every corrupt institution and put it all on the line? Knowing that our progeny, our future, is going to become fucking slave experiments? I mean, where are you? I'm just waiting. In all the activist groups I go to and comment on, I was added to a chemtrail group recently on Facebook. And people are asking about, I just became aware of this geoengineering thing. And it seems like it's been going on for a long time. And they're putting more than just weather manipulation chemicals in these things. They're experimenting on people. Okay, well, what are you going to do? You're going to file a lawsuit? Because that's what they're doing. That's what Tennessee did. The state of Tennessee filed a lawsuit to end the geoengineering. And what happened right after that? Swaths of destruction in the Midwest, tornadoes, storms, flooding. All a motherfucking weapon that's used against you, ants on a hill that are not yet able to comprehend what is actually going on here. The law is not the solution. It was the corrupted law that allowed for the geoengineering and all the secret programs to begin in the first place. You're honestly telling me that you think that's the same solution to this problem? No, it's not. The law is corrupt. The law has also been weaponized, just as the climate has. You see, All of this is being weaponized. It's all being weaponized against you and your family. And when I say you, I mean civilians. I did have a chance to become a non civilian when the Freemasons tried to recruit me, and they sent me their messenger who had the same last name as I did. And we met several times. He was ready to start doing business with our company until I think he realized that I'm not going to take your oaths. I was invited to a dinner at the Masonic Lodge, which never happened. He lied to me about that. I was promised a dinner to meet with the local worshipful master. It never happened. And of course, it was right after that point that the FBI showed up at my labs and my company was extorted, and they said it's national security. But only after they came to my door and said, "Oh, we're here because of a post you made on Twitter in regards to the autonomous zone in Seattle," which was me trying to contact the leadership of the autonomous zone to find out, are you guys actually really about creating an autonomous zone here, creating a new law, a new land for people here? And in the weeks after, we obviously discovered that they weren't because they were infiltrated from within. The Gestapo inserted their sleeper agents in there, and what happened? Their encampments were torn down, just like at the University of Washington and their little Hamas protest. Welcome, Sam DeMont. Hypersensitivity is kicking in. Lay low for a bit, maybe. I have nothing to hide. I the idea of laying low repulses me. It disgusts me. I will not hide. I will not lay low. I have nothing to lose. I don't have a vehicle that they can sabotage and cut the brakes in or assign somebody to get in a wreck with me. I don't have a job where I have to go to every day and be there at this time every day and at this place so they can set me up there and entrap me there. I don't have any of this. I've eliminated those things from my life because I know that they were traps. And I had to discover that, of course, as I was lobbying, as I was going to Olympia, as I was breaking my fucking back, spending all my time, energy, and money trying to show people renewable energy in Washington state, trying to show people that the military has had this technology for decades and suppresses it from you. There was an article recently where someone from the government was saying that if the UFO and UAP technology gets out to the mainstream, it will compromise the energy sector. Now, he's 100% correct on that, but the reasoning is all fucked up, people. It's all fucked up. Yes, it will destroy the energy sector because everyone will realize how easy it is to create your own electricity. And nobody will pay the fucking energy utilities anymore to create their own electricity. They will liberate themselves from that level of slavery. And the government seems to think that that's a bad thing because now they can no longer. Okay, we're back. See, we've just lost a connection there. Mysteriously, I never usually have any losses in connection at this time of day or place. Granted, I do have them frequently, and I've spent hours with Xfinity in their AI support chats, showing them example after example that I'm losing my connection here. Why am I paying you when I keep losing my connection? Sam Demon states, Angels coming chaos? Please, please, fucking A. I, for one, welcome the chaos and destruction because I know that's the only thing that can awaken these pathetic debt slave experiments at this point. That's the only thing. I welcome the chaos and destruction, not because I'm evil, not because I'm wicked, not because I want to see people suffer, because I know that chaos is the only thing that can snap them out of this trance that everyone's in right now. Every other solution has been tried and true, except combat, of course, which falls right in line with the chaos. Remember that combat was how people originally gained freedom and liberty from the corruption of the monarchy in 1776. Or at least that's what our history tells us, right? There is no other solution to tyranny and corruption other than armed combat. That's the only one. Because the law is right in line with that tyranny and corruption. The law is broken, it's been weaponized. Civics, Like I said, I spent a decade in civics, everybody, only to find that it goes nowhere but wasting time and maybe getting more people to see your cause because, oh, he's taking all his time and effort and money to go do that. But now we see that nothing comes of it. Nothing is ever going to change until armed combat. That's the only answer. And that's what I tell all these people, all these activist groups, and they tell me I'm wrong, I'm a warmonger, I'm inciting violence. I'm merely responding to the violence that's already been incited against us. The silent violence. All these silent killers around us, the food, the vaccines, the poisons, the water, to which I have been subjected to directly, everybody. I begged people here in Airway Heights, Washington, not to drink the tap water for decades after I had suspicions that it caused the passing of my grandmother and my aunt, after learning that the contaminants, PFOS and PFOA, targeted the same organs of the body, the liver, the pancreas, the bladder, that my grandmother and my aunt both passed away from complications of those exact same organs. They all called me crazy. They all called me a lunatic. They all wondered why they were sick all the time. But then the city decided to place the little orange notice on everyone's door handle saying, don't drink the water. And then all of a sudden, everyone started listening. But you know what? Not one of those motherfucking people ever apologized to me. Not one of them ever acknowledged me. Rather, they became angry with me. So again, why do I offer my knowledge, my wisdom, my content, my experiences, my counsel to swine that are unworthy of it? And at this point, people, if you are not ready to arm and occupy every corrupt institution, if you are not out here saying the exact same things that I am, then you're basically a swine to me because you're wasting our time. You're still jumping through the hoops of civics and activism rather than tackling the problem at its core, at its root. Apparently, you still are happy being a swine and eating from your trough every day and laying in your beds and wallowing in your materialism. I seek equals at this point, and I see none. There are none. The more I seek, the more I see that I am above all of you. And I say that with all conviction and truth. I am above all of you. You can call me arrogant. You can call me insane. You can call me full of myself, whatever you want. But I prove that I am above all of you with every breath I take, with every word I speak, with every action that I have taken, that I am taking, and that I will continue to take. And if you become offended by it, then I guess that's your ego problem. Anybody tries to say they're above me, I just laugh. I mean, that's what my ego reacts to. Okay. You think you're above me? Go right ahead. I'm not going to be offended by it. I allow my actions to speak on their own merit. I do not require a cult, a media presence, a harem, an army, a, a legion of supporters like the VFW, like all these fraternal military does, the army, the air force, politics and their parties, secret societies and their cults. They all require one another because they're too weak and cowardly to stand on their own. I don't require any of those. I stand on my own as a true independent. There is nobody that supports me. Nobody. Nobody. There is nobody that ever has supported me. There are those that have offered me their support with their own ulterior motives and conditions, like the Freemasons did, like the RNC did, like the DNC did. But as soon as they find out I'm an independent, I'm shunned, right? It's like I don't exist. And when I lobbied in Olympia in 2019, I discovered that firsthand. I was the sole independent among hundreds of lobbying constituents from all over Washington state, all of them conservative or liberal. I was the sole independent, the only one. And again, that just affirms for me how alone I truly am out here. And as I was there, no one would listen to me. No one had anything to say about the technology, even as I was showing them how it works, what it can do, how much generate energy it can actually generate. It's actually an over unity device. It generates more electricity than it uses, which is something the government can't have, obviously. You can't have that because then you're paving a road of prosperity for we the people rather than a road of eternal enslavement and experimentation. Once you come to that level of consciousness, you realize the technology has always existed. That's the singularity. There are hieroglyphs of helicopters in ancient Egypt, thousands of years old. This whole clock thing and linear time, that's another illusion. That's another tool of all the controllers here to control your lives every day. And indeed it does it not? Everybody who has a debt slave job knows, oh, it's Monday, so I have to be here at this time, or I'm not going to be able to continue to pay my bills and support my family. It's all a tool meant to control your soul and your flesh. And indeed, it controls many. So, another thing I find a serious lack of is questions. Whenever I encounter anybody, and I mean anybody, oftentimes the conversation revolves around activism, it revolves around the conspiracy and the truth of what's happening here. But when it comes to actual good questions, I receive none of them. I have the answers. I have the answers to these questions, but nobody asks. They would rather talk about this or that, or their families, or their jobs, or their statuses. Nobody wants to talk about an armed occupation by we the people, do they? Hmm. You're all fucking coward debt slave experiments until you are on my level, until you are ready to arm and occupy every corrupt institution, until you finally understand that the flesh really offers us very little here anymore. You can't remember anything beyond the flesh because that's part of this brutal cycle and this indoctrination system that we are subjected to here. Now, all the elite ruling bloodlines, they know about life beyond the flesh. They give all their money, all their knowledge, all their technology to their progeny, who has already been indoctrinated into their cult. But civilian people, just vastly uninformed. We have a different level of education. We have a different level of existence. All these elites, all these Freemasons, they live on a completely different plane of existence than civilians here. They have different schools, they have different knowledge, they have different banks and finances. Everything is tailored to them. Everything. Because they have sold their soul and they have gained the world, right? Now, who states that in the Holy Bible? Matthew does. I do. Who do you think authored the book of Matthew? Of course, I'll be called insane for stating that, as I am now. But it was none other than I that authored the book of Matthew, because I am Matthew. So take that as you will. I'm sure the FBI is going to spin this in some way. In the future, should I actually ever come to some level of recognition, they're going to be lined up. But they can't blackmail me, you see, because I have no criminal record, because I see all the snares and traps that are laid before me, and I am able to nimbly jump over each and every one of them. And even as I do that, they're still laying more. They know I'm aware, they know I can see the traps, but they're still laying more traps. They will lay traps eternally for all of us. And truly, it is only the gift of knowledge. Knowledge is the only savior. Knowledge allows you to see these traps. Knowledge illuminates your mind, not with a light. Remember that a light can burn you as a moth to the flame. I offer you a lamp so that not only you have light, but the shade of the lamp protects you from being blinded so that you can see the traps and snares that are laid before you all. Voting is one of them. Honest to God, I don't know why people vote at this point. It just proves that you're a fucking slave and an infant. We have witnessed the complete dismantlement of any integrity within our system of voting. And yet, people, I know conservatives that say the election was stolen and the system of voting is all fucked up, but they can't wait to go out and vote for Donald Trump. Is that not the definition of fucking stupidity? Of a brainwashed cultist? Every conservative, every liberal is a brainwashed cultist? They only bitch about it when the other party's doing it. And again, I asked every conservative, why are you voting for Donald Trump when he was the one that allowed Biden back into the White House? And should he get elected in another 4 years, if he's not assassinated, which I honestly feel he will be at some point, he's going to hand off our prosperity and our security right back to the Democrats again so they can destroy it all. And this brutal cycle continues. But none of you seem to be able to realize that. You still think that every candidate that comes from the conservative party or the Republicans, they're coming to save you from the Democrats. And vice versa with the Democrats, right? The Democrats are just more blatant about it. They're more callous about it, like Biden sniffing little girls, and he can't even put two fucking words together. And his face looks different every fucking time you see him on television because of body doubles or clones or masks or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Trump's the same way. Trump and Biden are on the same level to me. They're doing the same things under different personas, different cults, different titles. But every brainwashed conservative and liberal swears that one or the other is the savior and has never done anything wrong. Truly, it's the conservatives and liberals think that independents do not exist at all. They cannot process the thought that there is something that exists here besides the two-party cult and feudalism and fanaticism. Truly. I've never met anyone, I've never met any conservative or liberal that can acknowledge that or that will state that. They all become offended. And I mean instantly offended. And that's another sign of fanaticism, you see. It's the fanatics that become offended. But he who dares not offend cannot be honest. A great quote by Sir Thomas Paine. So, yeah, let's. I'm going to continue rambling for a bit today because it might be another year before I make another video. I don't know, but I'm just waiting on Ragnarok. Waiting on all you pathetic debt slave cowards to regrow your brains and spines and join me on the battlefield, so our future might actually have a chance at prosperity here. Instead, you all just rather would drink your beer and watch your movies. Goddamn, that's another thing that is just so pathetic to me. How many more of these goddamn fucking movies have to come out about all the corruption until you slaves get it? Honest to God. We had Died Suddenly, we had Civil War is one that's come out recently. There have been hundreds of documentaries that have clearly proven the crimes against humanity. But what do? You just line up and say, "Oh, I can't wait to watch this," and "I can't wait to tell this person about this so they can watch it too." And then once we know about it, we're just going to sit there and talk about it for the rest of our lives and do nothing about it. Pathetic. That is the definition of a pathetic debt slave experiment. And they promote them, and all the filmmakers who are making all this money off making it, they all know about it too. But what are they doing? They're making movies about it. They're not arming and occupying every corrupt institution, are they? Hmm. They're also bitch ass cowards who know nothing but greed and are ready to sell their soul to gain the world. I am my keeper and the possessor, the sole possessor of my soul. Many times this world and its abominations have come to me and tried to take my soul from me and offered things that at that time I thought may have been important or valuable or useful to me, but I never got caught up in it. And as alluring as those temptations were, I was living fucking homeless and I was offered a home. I was offered a job. I was offered food. I was offered a vehicle. But I had to take an oath to get those things. And that's where I said, nope, I'll continue living my life as a hermit out here, which I have done. And that's another reason why I become aware of what I become aware of, because I've actually had the time. I'm not running around in this rat race like all these debt slaves are. I have the time and effort to actualize my full potential, and I have done that. Have I explored my full potential yet? No, because honestly, for me to reach my full potential, I need you people. I need you debt slaves. Honest to God. I need you to become more than debt slaves. I need you to join me and come on my level and realize there's only one solution, one true solution, one true liberation. Everything else is a ruse. Everything else is a lie, a falsified. It's a farce. All these judges, all these courts, all these lawyers, all these police, they're all fraternal cultists. They all try to intimidate you with their shiny badges and their titles and their black robes and their diplomas and their endless doctrines of the corrupted law. I'm not intimidated by any of them, not a one. And I speak out about all of them. The fraternal police cult is finally revealing itself to be what it is. People are learning that they're spying on everybody, they have information that they don't disclose to everybody. There was, I forget the name of the woman that was, I think, hit by a police officer and died, police officer's vehicle. And the police were on record and it leaked, stating that this individual was a civilian and they had little value. And when that story broke, of course, there was a big uproar by it. But now nobody's saying anything about it anymore. It's just swept under the rug. Nobody remembers. The police don't value you. You're another expendable debt slave experiment to them. Just like every judge, every lawyer, every doctor, that's all you are to them. And they all practice their fraternal craft on you. Their fraternal craft is the science, is the law, is the history. So here I am. I stand alone, but I stand proud. I stand tall and I stand in truth. And I wait for the day that I might find an equal. I wait for the day that you debt slaves finally realize there's only one answer, one solution to all of this. And it's certainly not the law. It's not continuing to work and pay your taxes. It's an armed revolution by people who are willing to fight and die for their future and their children's future and their progeny's future. So let's touch on another aspect of this whole global cult conspiracy that deludes people, and that is planned obsolescence of technology. On Twitter or X, now all I see Elon Musk posting about is Neuralink and his rocket launches. Now let's think for a minute, okay? Let's really put on our thinking caps here for a minute and think. Combustion rocket technology is from the 1960s. And obviously, if you become aware, you realize it's always existed, even before the 1960s. So then why is Elon Musk still peddling combustion rocket technology as the most sophisticated and only form of space travel? Why? Why would he do that? When he claims to have all this advanced technology and he's giving everyone these Tesla electric vehicles and all that, it's because he's already been compromised by the cabal and he can't talk about those things. We all know that the military has anti gravity aircraft and they've had that for decades, but that's suppressed and covered up from the civilian people, except for what leaks out here and there. And I guarantee you, Elon knows about that too. And I guarantee you, Elon is also working on that technology in secret. Because when the debt slaves finally wake up and realize there is no such thing as planned obsolescence of technology, that's just a tool used by the cabal to keep you all fucking stupid and dumbed down. That's when Elon is going to say, oh, yeah, we've been working on this, and now we're going to give you this. And that always happens after the Great World War, you see. After every Great World War, there has been a huge leap in technology and advancements. And that's just the carrot in front of the mule, right? The masters dangle that carrot in front of you, the mule, and then it seems new and interesting to you, and it's cool. It's, can really accomplish amazing things that could really bring you prosperity in your life or health. So of course you're gonna walk after it and you're gonna forget about, oh, they fucking had this technology for 50 years, but they hid it from us because they think that we weren't ready. That's another excuse they'll try to use. The fucking IDF, Israeli Space Force, whatever you want to call it. They're going on record now saying, yeah, aliens have always been here and we've been in contact with them, but humans aren't yet ready for the truth. It's not humans that aren't yet ready for the truth. It's the fucking controllers that aren't ready for the truth. Because the truth is, every human that has a soul, a righteous soul and integrity, is going to combat all of these cultists that have been lying to them, deceiving them, robbing them, experimenting upon them and their ancestors. That's the only answer. You continue to let these parasites exist, they will lie, cheat, delude, and steal from you for eternity. The only solution is to execute them, to erase them from existence. But what does the law tell us? The law tell us, oh no, we can't do that. They have to be put through this trial and they have to stand before a stranger called a judge and jury to prove that this is what happened to them. The judge was not present during that crime. The jury was not present during that crime. It is a miscarriage of justice. It is an abomination. And the world would do well to return to eye for an eye. But of course, that is now seen as something that is barbaric. So, as I said, I'm just waiting on you all to get it, folks. I'm waiting for you to finally realize what's what we were actually put here to do in the flesh. We weren't put here to be useless eaters. We weren't put here to consume and produce. History tries to tell us that, tries to tell us that humans were just seated here as a slave labor race by the masters, the controllers, whatever you want to call them. But the fact of the matter is, the potential exists within all of us to become more than that. And as long as that potential exists, we are not slaves. We are not experiments. But we have to prove that. And do you think we're proving that by complying with every corrupt law around here? Do you think we're proving that by running away and scattering as ants at every protest? At every time we try to make our voice heard? No. That's just displaying you're a slave. And they're going to continue to treat you as slaves forever. So, yeah, that's where we're at right now, everybody. That's where we're at. Are you happy with your lives? Are you happy with your governments? And now my microphone is mysteriously cutting out. How interesting that is. Hmm. They're here right now. I know they're here watching me. Like I said, every post I make on Twitter, I'm instantly flooded by fucking the FBI's racks and racks of cell phones and the personas they have on there to discredit everything I have to say because they're cowards and that's what they do. They'll never acknowledge it. Honest to God, with the level of censorship and unexplained instances I've had to endure, you'd think that I was a bigwig here, like Julian Assange or Alex Jones. You'd think that I had thousands and millions of followers on every platform and everybody wants to hear what I have to say. That's how they treat me. They treat me like I'm that type of individual. And it's because of the content of my knowledge that I'm trying to give to you people. What I'm trying to give you, this value goes beyond anything that's material. What I'm trying to give you is a method to liberate your soul and your spirit and eventually your flesh. But there has to be, a great, great war, a great battle before any of that can even begin to happen. Because these parasites are not going to give up. When we finally prove beyond a shadow of a doubt they're corrupt, they're killing us, they're poisoning us, they were experimenting on us, and they've always been doing it, you think they're just going to lay down? They're going to say, okay, yeah, we did that, and now we're going to answer for our crimes. We're going to let you imprison us. No. They're going to lie, cheat, and steal even more. They're going to take it to levels that good-hearted and good-minded natured people cannot comprehend the level of wickedness and evil that these parasites operate on. And that's why they continue to get away with it. My mother was one of them. Bless your heart, mother. You truly believed that your government was trying to save you with a vaccine. Even as I was telling you, it's a biological weapon. It's going to be used against you. This whole COVID thing is just another fear campaign. I've never been vaccinated. I've never been sick. I've never contracted COVID. I don't trust any doctor. And every time I do have to go to the doctor, because we all do, right? I make sure I let them know. I'm not just another slave for you to practice your craft upon, doctor. They were trying to prescribe me things for my breathing problems recently, Spiriva and Symbicort. And I said, fuck no. Have you seen the side effects from those medications? You think I want to take those? Well, we don't know how they might affect you yet, sir, and you can't say that they could do that. No, get the fuck out of here. I'm not taking your bullshit fucking pharmakia. No. I've had breathing problems my whole life because of the wildfire smoke, because of what I have been subjected to. And now, as I am tied up in the fucking court battle for the past 2 years, as I try to file for my disability because of my breathing issues, as when the air quality is bad, I have problems. There's wildfire smoke in Washington State more each and every year, but they're still trying to tell me that I can go to work and I should be working. No, I'm not another fucking debt slave, okay? I truly am a disabled individual. I truly do have breathing issues and breathing problems. And that's why you look at my profile pictures and you see me wearing a gas mask. You see me wearing my fatigues because I understand we are at war. The moment I understood we're at war, I started wearing my fatigues so that people might actually start to fucking realize it and get it. So I have been ranting and rambling for about an hour now. I think I've said enough. I encourage all of you to look into what I've said, research it, look into my work, look into my journalism, take it as you will. If you have any questions, please offer me them. I always respond to questions. I always respond to anyone that contacts me. Granted, 90% of those people are FBI and CIA agents under one guise or another most of the time. And they think I don't know who they am, and I play like I don't know who they are, but I know who they are. The signs are always clear, you see. It's always obvious to anybody that truly does have a brain, is truly a righteous individual, truly values knowledge and wisdom, and takes the time and effort out of their own daily life to pursue that knowledge. That's the big key. All these people always cry for proof. You need to prove what you're saying. You need to prove, prove, prove. And then I offer them material for the proof and they dismiss it. So I stopped doing that a long time ago. Everybody who now asks me to prove anything, I said, look into it for yourself because the truth is only found by you, everyone. I can say this or that, I can show you this or that, but until you take the time and effort to research it yourself, you will never acknowledge it as the truth. Nobody can show you the truth. There are some way showers that may be able to show you the path to the truth, but you have to walk down that path ultimately. So again, here we are. In closing, um, what's it going to take, America? What's it going to take, world? What's it going to take for you to regrow a spine and brain and realize that armed combat is, was, and has always been the answer to corruption and tyranny? When are you going to stop being a fucking coward? Realize the law is broken, the law is corrupted, it goes nowhere. And when are you finally going to be ready to put it all in the line for your future and your family's future? That's where I'm at. As I said, everyone says, well, what are you doing? Why aren't you doing it? I've done it. I've done my time, everybody. I've done it for the past decade. And as for arming and occupying, I can't do it alone, right? That's what the FBI wants me to do. That's what they try to get me to do every time that I see another crime against humanity. They want me to act alone so they can completely destroy my persona and spin everything I have to say in a different direction. If the time ever does come where I'm arrested for something, then trust everything I have to say on here is going to be censored because they can't spin it. They're going to try to spin it, but they're going to realize my words are too clear. It's too obvious. It's too plain as day. I'm too well spoken. They cannot spin it. So at that point, what do they have to do? They have to censor it, which they do to me. They have tried to completely erase me, like I don't exist at all here. But I'm still here. I'm still talking to you right now. And again, only those who seek my knowledge ever find it. So it's my earnest and honest hope that more people will seek it. When I began on YouTube in 2011, you can see my demeanor. You can see it in my eyes. You can see the way I'm speaking. It's as if something came into my vessel, an epiphany, if you will, as I began speaking the truth. And my tone then was a lot more lighthearted. It was a lot more hopeful. But in the past decade, I've discovered the truth, everybody, the bitter truth. And now my words are a lot more severe. They're a lot more pointed because they have to be. My tone is severe because it has to be. And if that offends you, then fuck off. I don't care. He who dares offend cannot be honest, as I stated earlier. So that's all I have today. I'll be waiting for all of you pathetic debt slave experiments when you have finally decided to regrow your brains and spines and are ready to join me on the battlefield and reclaim our sovereign rights and dignity. Until then, just keep bitching and complaining, okay? And see how far it gets us.